Guys, do you see that?
What?
Mira, sí ves que el dron está a este lado del medio.
Do you feel like the world is slipping off its usual track? Time feels squeezed tight, the air has gotten heavy, and the future looks more blurry and uncertain than ever. Things that used to feel solid and steady are now shaking, leaving this uneasy feeling spreading everywhere. Fires are breaking out, right in the middle of cities. The sky is cracking open, strange lights hang in the air, whirlwinds are raging, and clouds shaped like death are showing up in plain sight. 10 different signs, but they're lining up one after another, like scattered puzzle pieces, slowly revealing a much bigger picture. Can you sense that strange rhythm? None of these signs are standing alone anymore. God is warning us that we're in the final days. Humanity's time is almost up. Are you ready for what's coming? Before we dive in and pull back each curtain of truth, please leave a short prayer for peace in the comments below to show your trust in the Lord. Okay? Now, no need to keep you waiting. We're jumping right into the first event. 1. Chaos flames sweep across America. Videos spreading fast over the last few hours showed downtown areas of America swallowed by fire. Thick black smoke blocks the whole skyline. You hear non-stop shouting and sirens blaring. This isn't edited clips or some action movie scene anymore. It's happening right out in the open, in broad daylight. The normal order we're used to gets torn apart in just moments. Right now, you can really feel the unrest spreading even faster than the news itself. News reports say violent protests have broken out at the same time in several big cities. Places like Los Angeles, California, and Minneapolis, Minnesota, with thousands of people involved. In just a few nights, more than 30 stores and local buildings got set on fire. Some of the fires spread for miles, so firefighters had to block off whole neighborhoods. Officials say the property damage has already gone past hundreds of millions of dollars, and major roads are completely shut down. These pictures remind me of the warning in Matthew 24:6-7. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. When the fighting isn't coming from outside anymore, but explodes right inside our own society, that message hits like a cold reminder of how deep the cracks really are. It all started from long-running political protests aimed at groups seen as extreme. Things quickly got out of hand. Police say they've made over 500 arrests in just 1 week. Dozens of officers got hurt, and quite a few areas had to put emergency curfews in place. The fire isn't only burning concrete and steel, it's burning away the fragile sense of safety we thought we had in modern life. Luke 21:11 says, "There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places, and fearful events and great signs from heaven." When the ground shakes from hate and violence, those signs stop feeling far away. They're showing up in everyday life, where people are turning against their own fellow human beings. Some folks say this is just the usual cycle of violence in American politics, but the numbers right now show this is much stronger and happening way more often than before. Reports say the number of fires set last month was double what it was the same time last year, and they're happening across many different states, not just one spot. The timing and the scale make the usual explanation sound pretty weak. Matthew 24:6 goes on to say, "See to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen." When this chaos fire breaks out in the heart of America, it's not just another political event. It's the first signal of something much bigger coming. And if the ground is already burning like this, who knows what the sky above is getting ready to show us next. 2. Discovery of a tear in the sky. The sky in the video doesn't show up clear right from the start. It's covered by a strange, blurry haze, almost like the camera hasn't quite focused on reality yet. The familiar blue suddenly gets cut by a straight, sharp, dark patch hanging there in the middle of the air. No sound, no movement. That moment makes everything feel like it's holding its breath, and your mind just can't catch up with the uneasiness that hits you. These pictures were taken in a quiet rural area in India. where folks are used to a wide open, peaceful sky. But in just a few hours, the video spread like wildfire and ended up on millions of screens across America and Europe. A lot of people right away thought of other times when similar dark streaks had been spotted cutting through the clouds in different parts of the world. When you zoom in on the frames, the details get even harder to make sense of. That black line is sharp as a knife, slicing straight through the sky, hundreds of feet long, standing perfectly still, even in strong wind, without getting blurred. It doesn't glow, doesn't shake, just sits there quietly, then suddenly disappears, leaving you with a cold chill, like you've just seen some kind of boundary being cracked open. Right then you start wondering, is this just a trick of the light or something we're not ready to face? Online, people quickly split into different camps. Some say it's a rare optical effect. Others believe the sky got glitched, like a computer error. A few even call it proof of something from outside Earth. In all the arguing, the real truth seems to slip away from anything we can easily name. In the Bible, Joel 2:30 says, "I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood, fire, and columns of smoke." The words don't describe the exact shape, but they do talk about breaking the normal order when the sky stops being just a calm background. These dark streaks that appear and vanish make that old prophecy sound more like a hint than a finished story. Then Revelation 6:14 paints another picture worth thinking about. The sky receded like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved from its place. Looking at the video, you can't shake the feeling that space itself is being folded away. Even without thunder or fire, that total silence somehow makes the doubt feel heavier. Sure, skeptics point to drones or atmospheric illusions to explain it, but there are still things that don't quite add up. Why did these perfect dark lines show up in so many places at once, then disappear without a trace? Luke 21:11 mentions it in a calm but serious way. There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places, and fearful events, and great signs from heaven. Maybe the scariest part isn't the thing itself, but how thin the line has become between what we see and what we believe. When the sky no longer feels whole in our minds, the question left hanging isn't how it got torn, it's what might come pouring through that new opening. 3. The shocking explosion brought a fire of judgment. Everything just blew up in one single breath. No warning, no time for anyone to get ready. Did your heart sink when that peaceful moment got ripped apart by one huge boom? That second felt like a sudden wake-up call, making people look up and realize danger can hit any time. It happened in Barangay Manay, Panabo City, Davao del Norte, a busy neighborhood full of small workshops and houses packed close together. The fire started from gasoline drums and spread hundreds of feet in just minutes, turning the whole area into a wild sea of flames. Local news reported many homes burned down, people got hurt with burns and smoke-breathing problems, and firefighters took hours to finally get the fire under control. The moment those fuel drums exploded, bright red fire shot out like a volcano, and thick black smoke covered the sky. Screams echoed through the alleys. People ran everywhere in total panic. Some even fell right in front of their own doors. Local news said at least dozens of families were hit hard, losing years of hard work in seconds, all turned to ashes. The Bible in Joel 2:30 says it plain. "I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke." When you see those words next to that huge black smoke rising right in the middle of a neighborhood, that fire stops being just an accident. It starts looking like a strong warning, showing how weak we really are when things get out of our hands. Amos 4:11 keeps ringing like a serious reminder. "I overthrew some of you, like God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and you were like a burning stick pulled out of the fire." Seeing those half-burned houses left behind after the blast makes you feel like people barely escaped the flames. But the mark of judgment is still right there. The Apostle Peter wrote in 2 Peter 3:10, "But the day of the Lord will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar, The elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything done in it will be laid bare. When fire breaks out in everyday life like this, that verse doesn't feel far away anymore. It feels like it's pointing straight at what's happening right now. The fire in the Philippines didn't just burn things down. It rang a cold warning bell. Judgment doesn't come in ways we expect. It comes sudden and doesn't hold back. From that fire rising on the ground, look up to the sky, because another lightning strike might be waiting to come down. Right now, what's left isn't arguing. It's prayer for the victims who lost so much and are hurting from this tragedy. May God's mercy cover them and the families still shaking after that sea of fire. Amen. 4. Judgment lightning pillar. The light came first. Before any sound could catch up, a streak of pinkish red tore across the night sky like a sword hanging there in the middle of the air. It wasn't fireworks, and it sure didn't look like regular lightning. That moment made everyone just slow their breathing, like the sky had quietly opened up something we'd never named before. People spotted this in big cities, places where city lights usually hide the sky. It was a lot like those rare straight-up lightning pillars folks in Illinois and Birmingham have seen. The pink-red glow started high up in the clouds, stretching thousands of feet, hung there for a few seconds, then slowly faded, just long enough to leave you with this strange, uneasy feeling you couldn't quite explain. The bright column punched right through the dark clouds, pulsing gently with that odd pink-red color, lighting up the whole horizon that had been pitch black. Everything seemed to freeze. Tall buildings caught the light like cold mirrors. And right then, did you ever wonder, just for a second, if this was only nature or something being sent down from very far away? The Bible says in Exodus 19:16, "On the morning of the third day there was thunder and lightning, with a thick cloud over the mountain, and a very loud trumpet blast." Everyone in the camp trembled. That image of flashing lightning and thick cloud shows up so clearly in this red pillar, almost like sacred history is repeating itself, this time using the language of our modern sky. Right after those first moments, people started arguing like crazy online. Some said it was just a sprite lightning or some rare high-altitude plasma thing. Others pointed out that the long-lasting pink-red color meant this was some kind of energy science hasn't fully figured out yet. The calm observers just said, science is still looking for answers, while everyone else split between pure logic and gut feeling. Revelation 8:5 says, "Then the angel took the censer, filled it with fire from the altar, and hurled it on the earth. And there came peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake." When you put those words next to this red lightning pillar, the light stops being just a physical thing. It becomes a key, something that hints at an intervention from somewhere beyond. Luke 21:11 also says, "There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places, and fearful events, and great signs from heaven." Suddenly, this straight-standing lightning pillar in the city sky starts to look like one of those great signs, not to explain everything, but to wake up the part of us that's been sleeping too long. That light makes one thing very hard to deny. The sky is still speaking in its own way, and when the red finally faded, another shade of purple flickered low on the horizon, as if some eyes were quietly watching from very, very far away. 5. The Eye of God. A soft purple-blue arc of light suddenly curved across the night sky, gentle, yet so sharp it took your breath away. Everyone who saw it just froze in amazement. It didn't explode or streak fast across the sky. It simply hung there, like it had come for a reason. Was this just a rare natural event? Or was it quietly asking us to look deeper at something unseen covering the heavens? People spotted this over Colombia, near Bogota and Cucuta. Many folks looked up at the same moment and felt the exact same thing. The curved band of light appeared at night, stretching hundreds of feet, drifting slowly before it faded away. It left everyone stunned and a little uneasy. No sound, no shaking, just the light and a heavy silence. The purple-blue glow bent like the edge of a giant eyelid, slowly closing, giving off a gentle but piercing light that cut right through the darkness. In that moment, you could really feel watched, not in a scary way, but in a holy way that's hard to put into words. A lot of people said their heartbeat slowed down, like they were standing in front of something bigger than everyday language can describe. Matthew 24:30 inches, the Bible says, "Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven, with power and great glory." When you put those words next to that curved light over Colombia, it feels like the light wasn't just there to be seen. It was there to be recognized as a sign. Afterward, people talked about it a lot, but opinions were all over the place. Some thought it was a UFO with a strange curved shape. Others felt it was a rare atmospheric thing, maybe plasma or some kind of light reflection. The science explanations tried to stay calm and neutral, but the deep, sacred feeling so many witnesses had was hard to brush off with formulas or charts. Acts 2:19 says, "I will show wonders in the heavens above and signs on the earth below, blood and fire and billows of smoke." In that light, this quiet purple-blue curve becomes a gentle reminder. Signs and wonders don't always come loud and dramatic. Sometimes they arrive in stillness that moves your heart. Revelation 1-7 puts it plainly too. "Look, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, even those who pierced him. And all peoples on earth will mourn because of him." That sky light, like a great eyelid closing, gives the feeling that nothing escapes that holy gaze. That purple-blue light quietly confirms something we believe deep down. We are not alone under this sky. And just as that eyelid seems to close somewhere else, shapes like wings are beginning to appear, a sign that something new is starting, waiting to be told. 6. Angel wings in the Texas sky. A gentle but strange beauty appeared behind thick, pure white clouds that looked soft as mist, making the Texas sky slow down in a very different rhythm. No sound at all, just a soft light spreading out, like a familiar shape stepping out from a sacred memory. Was it just clouds arranged by chance? Or a sign placed right where it could quietly wake up sleeping faith? Over Texas skies, near Henderson County and around Snyder, many people looked up at the same moment and captured that special sight. Long white streaks spread out like wings, stretching across many miles, appearing and disappearing behind gray clouds, right next to a bright orb that pulsed steadily. The scene wasn't dramatic, but it was deep enough to make hearts grow quiet with a mix of awe and hope. The white wings opened very slowly, their edges soft as if drawn with light. No sharp lines, no blinding glare. The glowing orb beside them moved gently, giving off warm light that made the whole sky feel holy in a way that's hard to describe. In that moment, you could sense a gentle presence covering everything. Not forceful, just quietly reminding you. Isaiah 6:2 inches, the Bible says, above him were seraphim, each with 6 wings. With 2 they covered their faces, with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they flew. Those wings high above, covering and lifting, shine straight into the scene in the sky, like an ancient code being unlocked again through clouds and light. The feeling in the air wasn't fear. It was a blend of deep respect and quiet comfort. The light didn't rush down or disappear quickly. It stayed just long enough to plant a sense of being watched over. Every movement was slow and calm, as if the sky was trying to speak in the rhythm of peace. Matthew 24:31 says, "He will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his chosen ones from the 4 winds, from one end of the heavens to the other." When you put this verse next to those wide-open wings and that light, it stops being just a picture. It becomes an answer about a quiet gathering and preparation that's already underway. Hebrews 1:14 goes on to say, "Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation?" So those white wings carry the meaning of care and guidance, not to scare anyone, but to strengthen faith in a world that keeps changing. The sight ended with a gentle certainty. There are forces watching over us beyond what human eyes can see. And as the wings slowly melted back into the clouds, the sky far away stayed open, like there are still other movements waiting to be noticed by those who stay awake and keep hoping. 7. Mysterious whirlwind. It came out of nowhere. In just a moment, the snowy mountain sky suddenly went dark, like an invisible hand had covered it. From the heavy clouds, a spinning motion began, quiet but very powerful, turning the peaceful mountain scene into something uneasy and unpredictable. This was caught on camera in the snowy mountains of Colorado and Montana, places with high peaks and harsh weather where you almost never see such clear, straight-up whirlwinds. A tall, gray-black column of spinning air reached from the clouds all the way to the ground, thousands of feet high, pulling up clouds of white snow before disappearing just as fast as it appeared. No siren, no weather warning, just silence suddenly torn apart by the moving wind. The thick clouds twisted together like a giant funnel. The whirlwind dropped onto the mountainside like a huge trumpet blowing down from the sky, sucking up snow and air into its spinning center. The ground seemed to shake, everything disappeared in a white blur, and for a second you could really feel nature showing a power way beyond what we usually control. Weather experts say these snow whirlwinds are sometimes called snow devils. They form when very cold air near the ground meets warmer air above, creating a short, spinning motion. But people who watched closely noticed that regular ones are usually small, last only a few seconds, and rarely stretch from the clouds all the way to the ground in such a huge way. The fact that there was no clear warning makes this one harder to fully explain. The Bible says in Job 38:1, "Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind." The picture of God speaking from a whirlwind gives this kind of wind a whole different meaning. One where the wind isn't just moving air, but also a way God gets people's attention. Weather studies also point out that high mountain terrain can make spinning air currents much stronger, especially when two very different air masses crash into each other. Still, the way this whirlwind appeared and vanished so suddenly, plus its almost perfect column shape, has many experts admitting there are still some things our current models can't completely explain. Nahum 1-3 says, "The Lord is slow to anger and great in power. He will not leave the guilty unpunished. The Lord walks in the whirlwind and the storm, and clouds are the dust of his feet." When you put that verse next to this snowy mountain whirlwind, the wind becomes a warning, a reminder that this power isn't just for show, but to wake us up. Luke 21:25 also warns, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea." So a whirlwind in the middle of white snow starts to look like a sign, pointing toward bigger troubles slowly coming into view. That spinning motion makes one thing very clear. When the wind gets angry, the normal order of things can be turned upside down in the blink of an eye. And from these icy mountain peaks, in another part of the world, invisible winds are quietly building up, waiting for the day they break out even stronger. 8. Invisible whirlwind in Brazil. No warning siren, no clear funnel cloud, just the air suddenly feeling heavy, and then everything starts breaking apart. A big factory, thousands of square feet wide in São José dos Pinhais, Paraná State, got torn open in seconds by something you couldn't even see. When you watch that video, do you ever wonder what could bend steel and blow concrete apart while the sky still looks perfectly clear? What the camera caught wasn't a regular tornado. It was the swirling dance of debris being lifted high, spinning in the air like an invisible hand was moving it all. Walls collapsed from the inside out, the roof got sucked straight up into the sky, and the center of the destruction, it never showed itself. It didn't feel like an attack coming from one direction. It felt like being completely surrounded with no way out. Ezekiel 1-4 records, "I looked, and there was a whirlwind coming from the north, a great cloud with flashing lightning all around it, and a bright glow. In the middle of the fire, something like shining metal." That picture isn't about ordinary wind. It's about a hidden power in motion, something you feel before you can see it. In Brazil, these whirlwinds only show themselves after the damage has already started. Before that, the air gets so quiet, it's almost scary, like everything is holding its breath waiting for judgment. Hosea 8-7 says, "They sow the wind and reap the whirlwind. They have no stalk of grain. The bud will yield no flower." Even if it did, foreigners would swallow it up. The wind isn't just weather. It's the result, the harvest you can't undo. No long explanation needed. The wrecked factory speaks for itself. Wind doesn't need a shape to destroy, just like judgment doesn't need a warning before it hits. Matthew 24-7 warns, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. Those troubles don't come alone. They spread like invisible shock waves." The whirlwind in Brazil leaves a cold message. When something unseen starts moving, people only realize it after the foundations are already gone. And if wind can strike without showing its face in South America, then up north, on Mexican soil, what might be quietly opening beyond the horizon? 9. The golden portal appears over Mexico. That moment, the sky above Mexico didn't look fierce or scary. Instead, it put on a strange, almost magical kind of beauty. Against a soft, pale blue cloud background, a golden circle appeared. It slowly swirled and glowed like fine golden glitter sprinkled across the sky. No loud boom, no wild shaking, just a sight that made people stop and look up, as if the sky had quietly opened up a gentle secret. Folks who saw it said the circle just hung there high above, probably a couple miles wide. The golden light kept moving, like it was gently turning around an invisible center. It didn't crash down, and it didn't disappear right away. It stayed long enough to make you feel this wasn't just some normal weather thing. Looking at it, did you ever wonder if our everyday world was brushing up against something beyond? Revelation 4:1 says, "After this I looked, and there before me was a door standing open in heaven. And the voice I had first heard, speaking to me like a trumpet, said, 'Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after this.'" The picture of a door open in heaven isn't described with thunder or destruction. It's an invitation, with light and a voice that calls you forward. The golden circle over Mexico felt a lot like that. It didn't force fear on anyone. It just quietly opened the possibility of something bigger than what we usually know. It was beautiful, but not only for looking at. It was calm, but not empty. Acts 7:56 records. "Look," he said, "I see heaven open, and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God." That kind of sight isn't really about the physical sky. It's about a deeper reality being revealed. As the golden circle slowly faded and disappeared, what was left wasn't hard proof you could touch. What stayed was a question floating in people's minds. Ezekiel 1:1 says, "In the 30th year, in the 4th month on the 5th day, while I was among the exiles by the Kebar River, the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God." Those heavens opening moments always seem to come when people least expect them, when the line between ordinary life and something holy gets real thin. The golden circle didn't announce itself or explain what it meant, but that very silence made people feel there are doors that only open for those willing to look past the surface. And after the gold light went out over Mexico, on the other side of the border here in the States, a strange cloud shape started slowly forming, like the story still isn't finished. 10. Clouds form a giant spine covering the sky. The sky above that small town suddenly looked strange, cold and eerie, enough to give you chills right from the first glance. Against the gray clouds, a tall, straight shape appeared, stretching way up from the horizon. Smaller bands of cloud spread out evenly on both sides, like sections of a backbone. When you look up at something like that, doesn't it feel like something quiet is watching you from above? Photos taken in a town in New York or Kentucky show this cloud formation stretching for miles, with nearly straight parallel lines that create a very unusual pattern. There was no wild movement, no thunder, just a heavy silence that made everything feel darker and gloomier than usual. The uneasy feeling didn't come from any immediate danger. It came from the shape itself, reminding people of a huge, invisible body casting its shadow over the earth. The main cloud pillar stood perfectly straight, with side branches spread out evenly, very strongly, suggesting an enormous backbone. Down below, life in the town went on as normal. But up above, the sky carried a cold reminder that made those who saw it feel how close life and death really are, separated only by a thin layer of clouds. Ezekiel 37:1 says, "The hand of the Lord was upon me, and he brought me out by the Spirit of the Lord and set me in the middle of a valley. It was full of bones." The dry bones in that vision aren't just about death. They mark the beginning of a judgment and a change that no one can turn around on their own. As the cloud bands kept spreading across the sky, they blocked out the sunlight. The scene felt like a day where the line between light and darkness had disappeared. Joel 2:2 describes it this way: "A day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and thick darkness, like dawn spreading over the mountains, a large and mighty army coming, such as never was of old, nor ever shall be again, through all the generations." In the Bible, days of thick clouds always come with a serious wake-up call for humanity. Some people say it's just cirrus clouds lined up because of unusual weather conditions. But the shape is so clear, and the feeling it gives is so strong, that many find it hard to believe it's just a random thing. Revelation 6-8 warns, "I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him." That picture isn't meant to scare people into panic. It's simply putting the truth right in front of us, something we cannot escape. The bone-shaped sky doesn't say a word, but its silence rings out like a warning bell about how limited our time on earth really is. As the cloud bands slowly fade away, one question still hangs in the air. If this final sign has already appeared overhead, what exactly is waiting ahead for those of us still standing under this sky? 10 signs have come one after another right before our eyes. They're not separate or scattered. They fit together tightly, like pieces of one single picture. From fires breaking out where things were barely holding together, to angry winds, strange shapes in the sky, and even those cold, eerie cloud formations that look like death itself, they all point to one deep message. When you put them side by side, you don't just see random events anymore. You see a clear series of warnings that's almost complete. The Bible says in Amos 3:7, "Surely the Lord God does nothing without revealing his secret to his servants, the prophets." These things aren't showing up just to make us curious for no reason. They're here to wake up hearts that have been sleeping. Each sign is like a gentle knock, but they keep coming, stronger and faster, on the spiritual door of every person. When the sky changes color and nature starts acting way outside its normal ways, that uneasy feeling isn't random. Luke 21:28 tells us, "When these things begin to happen, stand up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near." Even in the middle of fear and confusion, there's still a small light of hope for anyone willing to look up and really think about what's happening. But this hope isn't just a sweet lullaby to make us feel better. Romans 13:11 wakes us up and says, "You know the time, that now is the moment for you to wake up from sleep. For our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed." The signs are already here. They don't let us stay comfortable and ignore things forever, because time doesn't wait for anybody. Right now, each of us has to choose: turn back or keep pretending we don't see. 2 Corinthians 6:2 reminds us, "Now is the time of God's favor. Now is the day of salvation." The door of grace is still open, but nobody knows when it will close. And sometimes, the most dangerous choice is staying completely silent when the warnings are sounding. If anything I've just shared touches your heart, take a quiet moment right now, say a simple prayer, or leave your honest thoughts in the comments. That sharing isn't just a reply, it's your way of answering the call that's ringing in this generation. And if this message means something to you, please help spread it, support the channel, share it with others, and follow along so you won't miss the next reminder. May God's peace cover you and your family and guide every step in the days ahead. Amen.
Sensed something beyond human.
Have you ever looked up at the sky and suddenly felt your heart tighten? The quiet sky wasn't quiet anymore. It was pouring down huge shadowy shapes, bright flashes tearing through dark clouds, movements that broke every rule we know. That feeling doesn't creep in slowly. It hits you all at once, forcing you to face the growing unease, second by second. All over the world, from one continent to another, reports keep pouring in. Strange objects appear out of nowhere, then vanish. Odd figures show up among the clouds. Wild, fiery trails streak across the sky like they have a mind of their own. The sky we always thought was peaceful is now full of chaos, as if some urgent warning is being sent down to us. Can you feel that worry slipping into your thoughts? 10 phenomena are about to be revealed, each one hitting hard against our indifference, making us lift our heads and really listen. Before we go on, please leave a prayer in the comments below. Just a small way to show faith in the middle of all this confusion. And now, let's get started right away with 1. The figure of the Lord in the sky. The sky at cruising altitude usually feels safe in a cold sort of way, but that moment was different. The light outside the window turned to a heavy gray. The clouds were thicker than normal. And in the long silence, a clear feeling of unease crept in, like we were seeing something that didn't belong on the usual path of a regular flight. From the view of the recorded video, everything looked calm. The plane was steady, engines humming smoothly. But right in the middle of the dark cloud layer, a huge, human-shaped figure suddenly appeared, just hanging there, perfectly still. That shadow was much bigger than any aircraft we know, and it left the passengers behind the camera almost frozen, not from fear of crashing, but from the feeling that they were witnessing something beyond normal explanation. As the footage spread, more details became clear. The shape looked like a giant human body, arms slightly open, standing so calm it was hard to understand, like someone quietly standing in the middle of the sky. No sudden movements, no man-made lights, just a silent but overwhelming presence. In just a few short seconds, the figure slowly faded and melted into the clouds, leaving an empty space that gave people chills, as if a gaze from very high up had just passed over them. These images immediately brought back reports of apparitions recorded in the Philippines, where thousands of people at the same time said they saw the image of Jesus appear in the clouds after crowded masses. The common point wasn't in the exact details, but in the shared feeling, shock, silence, and the belief that this wasn't just some random trick of the eye. Videos from different angles made the staged theory much harder to believe. When people compared this event to the Bible, Matthew 24-30 came up as a symbolic hint. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and all the peoples of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. That verse doesn't directly prove what we're seeing, but it gives a reference point that makes the image hard to ignore. In the same way, Revelation 1-7 was mentioned too, adding another layer of meaning. Look, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, and all the peoples of the earth will mourn because of him. Those words sound like a distant echo, not forcing anything, but strong enough to plant questions about what this figure really means. Even though there are still technical explanations like cloud illusions or video editing, the fact that it showed up on multiple angles at the same time, plus the consistent reactions from viewers, makes it hard to completely dismiss. It just hangs there like a sign, not confirming anything for sure, but also not letting indifference come back. And right in that quiet space, the feeling starts to grow that this might only be the beginning. 2. Giant figure on the country highway. Heavy night rain poured down on the rural highway like a thick curtain. The headlights sliced through the rushing water in tense, frantic streaks. And right in that moment, the feeling of danger no longer came from the slippery road. Sometimes, we think a quiet, empty road means we're safe, until the darkness ahead suddenly turns too thick, too heavy, like it's hiding something waiting to be revealed. According to the dashcam footage, the car was moving steadily through the storm when the headlights suddenly caught a huge shape standing right at the edge of the road. It wasn't human. It didn't look like any normal animal either. The creature was extremely tall, with an unnaturally stretched body, almost like it was pieced together from patches of shadow. Its glowing yellow eyes caught the light and stared straight at the driver, giving that piercing feeling, like every thought in your head was suddenly laid bare in a split second. This kind of sighting reminds many people of the scattered reports about haunted highways in America, especially the stories around Riverdale Road in Colorado, where shadowy figures often show up in bad weather. The common thread isn't the exact details, it's the state of mind of the people who see it. Heart pounding, hands shaking on the wheel, and a deep fear that has no clear reason, but feels completely real. The thing in this video was the same. It didn't charge. It didn't make a sound. It just stood there, then slowly melted back into the rain, like it had never been there at all. Skeptics say it could just be an illusion from heavy rain, headlights bending through water, or the stress of driving at night. But the dashcam images are fairly clear. The creature's movement doesn't match tree shadows or roadside posts. And that eerie feeling of being seen through that many drivers describe keeps showing up in these cases, making the simple explanations feel less convincing. When people place this sighting next to Bible verses, Luke 21:25 often comes up as a broad warning about spreading chaos. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars, and on the earth. Nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. The disorder doesn't only come from nature. It seeps into people's minds when they lose their sense of direction. Revelation 6:12 goes even deeper with its picture of darkness covering the world. When the Lamb opened the sixth seal, I watched as there was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair, and the whole moon became like blood. In the cold yellow glow reflecting from those eyes, quite a few people feel a troubling similarity to these descriptions. Even though it's just one lone sighting on a quiet back road, that giant figure leaves a heavy feeling behind. It didn't attack, it didn't chase, but its silent presence alone was enough to plant the sense that darkness doesn't just hang up in the sky anymore, it has stepped down very close. And when you think about the road still ahead, a quiet question creeps in. Is that creature waiting around some bend where the headlights will accidentally catch it again? 3. Black pillar in the sky over Blue Lagoon, Russia. Right in the middle of that heavy gray sky above the Blue Lagoon area, there was this one moment when everything just seemed to freeze. No warning sound, no streak of light racing across, just a huge black shape hanging there in the air. So quiet it felt wrong, like whatever it was didn't belong in our normal everyday sky. From the videos that spread around, the thing looked like a tall, flat slab standing upright, way bigger than any regular flying object we know. Its surface wasn't smooth. It caught the weak light in faint, blurry geometric patterns, almost like something inside was slowly moving. Around it, smaller objects circled in perfect rhythm. No noise, no trails in the air, making the whole scene feel more like a living machine than just some dead piece of metal. In that moment, we weren't only seeing something strange, we could actually feel an invisible weight pressing down on the sky. The location makes it even harder to understand. The area around Blue Lagoon isn't new to ancient stone structures and megaliths in Siberia, places that have old legends about stone pillars used for ceremonies. But this black thing wasn't sitting on the ground. It was floating high up, completely separate from anything solid. A lot of people who watched the video said the first feeling wasn't instant fear. It was more like a deep heaviness, as if the sky was holding onto a secret too big to carry. Online, people quickly split into two sides. Some said it's probably a top-secret military test or some new kind of aircraft we've never heard about. Others were sure it's just really good fake video made to get attention. But then, similar reports started popping up in different conflict zones around the world, thousands of miles apart, with pretty much the same description of the shape and the way it moved. That made the arguments get pretty heated. So when you look at that floating black pillar, which explanation feels more likely to you? When people look at this through the Bible, Joel 2:30 often comes up as a key verse. I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The word pillars doesn't just feel like a figure of speech here. It brings to mind tall, solid structures standing there, marking some very unusual moment in history. Then there's Mark 13:25 that adds to the picture with its warning. The stars will fall from the sky, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. When folks connect those Bible verses with this black monolith hanging in the air, a lot of them start seeing it not as just one weird thing, but as some kind of marker, like the sky is quietly putting down invisible milestones for whatever comes next. Whether you explain it with science or with spiritual meaning, that black shape still sits there in people's minds like a quiet warning. It doesn't attack, it doesn't send any signal, but just having it there is enough to leave us with a much scarier question than its shape. If these pillars aren't only showing up in one place, if they keep appearing in more and more spots, how much open sky will we have left before we face something we can't avoid? 4. A flock of birds flies together, forming a mysterious dark shape. Up in the sky, a dark mass slowly appears. It has no clear edges, no solid point to hold on to, almost like it doesn't belong to the familiar sky we see every day. Have you ever looked up and felt like something was quietly watching from above? What happens next makes the air feel strangely heavy and tight. From different directions, more black flocks show up, swirling around the dark shape as if pulled by an invisible current. They rush in, then suddenly spread out, changing direction over and over. It feels like the sky itself is pulsing to some strange rhythm. The dark center never stays still. It swells up like thick smoke one moment, then shrinks back like it's breathing, making the line between the birds and the darkness blurry. This reminds people of those murmurations recorded over Rome, Italy, where thousands of starlings come together into huge black patterns that block the sun for a moment. But this time feels very different. The birds aren't just making shapes. They seem to be reacting to something you can't see. Light gets blocked bit by bit. The wide sky suddenly feels low and heavy, and anyone standing below starts feeling like the air is slowly being sucked away. The questions grow when many videos show the birds aren't following their normal survival patterns. At times, the whole flock suddenly panics, as if terrified by an unseen force, then comes right back to circle the changing dark shape. Some people say it's just a complicated natural event, wind, air pressure, or magnetic fields, but the way the birds both move toward it and try to stay away makes that explanation feel a little weak. Luke 21:25. Once warned, there will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. When darkness covers the light and the natural order feels shaken, those Bible words sound like a hint that changes in the sky mean more than just physical things. Revelation 8:12 goes further, describing the light being struck down. The fourth angel sounded his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of them turned dark. Looking at it that way, this dark shape and the swirling birds aren't just a rare sight. It feels more like a message sent through nature itself. When the light gets covered and the creatures of the sky react in panic, it could be a reminder that darkness isn't only out there, it's also growing somewhere inside humanity. And if one day that dark mass stops being just a blurry shape, will our familiar sky still be able to hold its own boundaries? 5. Strange phenomenon in the Florida sky. Florida's sky suddenly turned wild and overwhelming when a huge ring of light burst out right in the middle of the air, so bright it covered the whole night sky. The light didn't spread out evenly. It swirled into one perfect circle, looking almost like a giant door had opened, and then just stayed that way for a few unbelievable moments. What made it so strange was that this ring didn't look like lightning, didn't look like flares, and didn't follow any normal weather pattern anyone had ever recorded. Right after, a bunch of glowing orbs appeared. They flew around the circle in every direction, then started lining up, one after another, moving straight into the center of the light and vanishing. Down on the ground, lots of electronics went haywire, phones flickering, car systems throwing errors all at once, making the already crazy scene even more confusing. Similar things had been reported before in Palm Coast, where people talked about ring lightning and light orbs possibly connected to some unknown energy source, leading to theories about different dimensions crossing over. What would you think if the sky above you suddenly started messing with everything normal around you? Skepticism spread quickly, as scientists and everyday people offered different explanations. Some thought it was probably an aerial test, maybe advanced aviation tech or directed energy. But that idea got pushed back hard because there was no official announcement, and the electronic problems went way beyond any normal test range. Reports of orbs rising up out of the Florida Ocean made the story even more mysterious, since they seemed to come from the sea itself, not just the sky. Acts 2:19 kept coming up as a possible key. I will show wonders in the heavens above, and signs on the earth below, blood, fire, and smoke rising. When the light appeared at the same time as trouble down here, that verse made people think these things aren't separate. They're signs happening together between heaven and earth. Matthew 24-29 puts it in an even bigger picture. Right after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened. The moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. After that, the arguments got really heated. One side says the ring of light and orbs are proof of new technology or an extremely rare natural event that needs serious study before anyone jumps to conclusions. The other side believes it's a warning sign when the normal order of the sky gets disturbed in a way we've never seen before. Both views exist side by side, showing how people try hard to make sense of things when everything feels chaotic. No matter which way you look at it, this event over Florida still leaves one big question hanging. If those rings of light aren't just light, if they're actually signals of a gate that's just been cracked open, then what exactly is waiting on the other side, and will the sky ever stay quiet like it used to? 6. Mysterious black objects hovering in the sky. No sound, no clear movement, just a piece of empty space taken over by strange shapes that make your normal feeling of safety disappear. Even when the sunlight is still bright and strong, the whole scene feels heavy, almost suffocating, and one question has to come up. If the sky isn't quiet anymore, then who's up there watching you? The first reports say these things are about the size of small birds, grouped closely together in a tight cluster, keeping perfect even spacing in a way that feels suspicious. They don't fly, they don't drift, and they don't get pushed by the wind. They just hang completely still for many minutes. In some similar sightings reported around Seattle, streetlights flickered strangely, and a lot of people said they felt watched, even though they couldn't tell where it was coming from. Daylight is supposed to be the time when everything is clear, but that's exactly why these dark shapes feel so hard to accept. When people looked closer, some noticed faint flashing lights coming from the objects, almost like they were talking to each other in their own slow rhythm. That perfect coordination didn't look like a flock of birds, and it didn't match regular civilian or military drones either. No propeller noise, no little adjustments in position, just an unnatural stillness in midair. The tension really builds when the whole dark cluster suddenly holds its shape for a while, then breaks apart and vanishes so fast it leaves a cold, empty feeling in the sky. Right away, people started arguing about what they could be. Some said maybe new high-tech drones, but that idea has big problems when you think about how long they stayed perfectly still and how precise the control would have to be, way beyond normal remote operation. Reports of similar mysterious black objects in West Michigan make it feel like this isn't a one-time thing. It's a pattern happening in different places. Luke 21:11 gets mentioned as a straight-up warning. There will be great signs from heaven. That Bible verse puts the focus right on the sky as the source of strange signals. It doesn't need a long explanation. It just quietly wakes up a deep fear inside. Revelation 6:13 goes even further. The stars in the sky fell to the earth, like figs shaken from a tree by a strong wind when they're not ripe yet. It paints a picture of things coming down from above, breaking the normal order. From a warning point of view, these hovering black shapes aren't just a science puzzle. They're a sign of silent watching. When the bright daytime sky can still hide something creepy, the message comes through louder than ever. The normal order is being tested, and judgment might come without any noise. If those dark dots didn't really disappear, if they just moved to another spot, how sure are we that they're not up there right now, quietly looking down? 7. Strange cloud over the sky in Haiti. That appearance brought a mysterious, doubtful feeling, like something had just slipped into our familiar reality without any clear explanation. In the middle of the swirling space, an unusual round cloud formed, and right next to it, a faint, glowing object quietly drifted along. The moment those two things sat side by side gave the impression of a pair that shouldn't exist, shaking up normal thinking. The strange object didn't break away from the cloud. It didn't cut through or pass over it either. It just stayed at a fixed distance, almost like it was being protected. The cloud kept changing shape, stretching out, then tightening again. But the object matched every single movement perfectly. In those moments, you could really feel that floating question without an answer, as if someone was hiding behind a living disguise. In Haiti, similar sightings have shown up many times in videos spreading online. Local people say they often see these swirling cloud pairs appear together, then quickly disappear after the faint glowing object moves away. Unlike regular weather patterns, these clouds seem to reshape themselves following the object's motion, creating a shared rhythm that's hard to explain with normal weather science. The feeling it leaves behind isn't instant fear. It's a slow, quiet doubt that lingers. Lots of theories have been offered to calm the unease. Some say it's just smoke, light reflection, or a camera angle trick. But the almost perfect matching between the cloud and the object makes those explanations feel pretty weak. Different recordings from different angles all show the same side-by-side movement, as if the two things share the same will. Matthew 24-30 gets mentioned as a meaningful hint. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and all the tribes of the earth will mourn. And they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. This Bible verse doesn't directly explain the sighting, but it opens a way of thinking where clouds aren't just natural. They can also be a covering for something holy. Revelation 1-7 adds to that picture. Look, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him. From that view, the cloud stops being just background in the sky. It becomes a curtain hiding silent messengers. The way this strange object travels together with the swirling cloud can feel like a gentle but persistent signal, a reminder that there are eyes watching quietly, without showing themselves. And if a cloud can protect something that doesn't yet have a name, then maybe those floating shapes up there aren't just rare events. Maybe they're quiet companions still watching every move of the world below. 8. Fallen angel touches the earth. A winged figure streaks across the sky. Too clear to be a hallucination. Too strange to just shrug off. That moment carries the weight of a rough warning. It forces every eye to stop and stare, because the first feeling isn't wonder, it's a cold shiver. The footage that came after shows violent, yet strangely blurry motion, almost hard to believe. The thing has a human-like shape, with wide wings that don't look soft like feathers. They're sharp-edged, metallic, and torn in places. It flies with a smooth, almost graceful rhythm. Nearly beautiful, but that very smoothness feels unsettling. The shadow of those wings sweeps clearly across everything below, nothing like a fake effect, making it tough for anyone watching to look away without wondering what in the world they're really seeing. Similar reports have popped up here and there, some in Texas, others in far-off parts of Russia, where people described winged beings gliding past for just a few seconds before disappearing. The worrying details that keep repeating are the wing structure and the deliberate way it moves. Not wild like a bird, not stiff like a drone. The overall feeling isn't protective. It feels more like something that fell long ago, but still has enough power left to show itself. Revelation 12-7 gets brought up like an echo from long ago. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. That verse puts the sighting into a fierce battle context, where winged beings no longer stand for peace, but mark an unfinished war. Then Luke 10:18 adds the following image. He replied, "I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven." Of course, the internet quickly split into two loud camps. One side says it's just really good CGI, someone's imagination, plus fancy editing software. The other side points out that the clips come from different people, different cameras, different lighting and angles, which makes a coordinated hoax pretty hard to pull off. Both sides have their arguments, and so far, nobody's come up with proof strong enough to end the argument. Still, the real thing to pay attention to isn't what we decide to call this creature. It's the message it quietly brings. Not everything that comes down from above means salvation. Some shadows only show up to remind us that a fall leaves marks behind. And if a winged being still has the strength to glide through our world today, what's the real purpose of that flight? And who's next on its watch list? 9. Mysterious glowing orb twists across the Kenyan sky. The light rips through the night in a split second. So fast your eyes can't catch up before the whole sky gets flooded with a fierce white-gold color. A fireball explodes into view, Not crashing straight down like the meteors we usually see, but making sharp turns, changing direction quickly like it's deciding its own path. The shock hits you instantly, because this isn't some random flash. It feels like a bold, on-purpose, visual punch. The fireball moves in a clear zigzag, speeding up then slowing down, leaving behind a long, glowing trail like hot, melted metal. The light doesn't fade right away. It hangs there for a few seconds before disappearing, long enough that you really notice it's there. In that moment, it's hard not to feel that the movement isn't blind. It almost seems to react to the people watching down below. In Kenya, many witnesses said they just froze when they saw it. People who didn't know each other all described the same thing. This fireball didn't fall, didn't break up, didn't slowly fade like a normal meteor. Some compared it to fireballs seen in the US, but they admitted they'd never seen anything move with such obvious steering. The golden trail it left stretched hundreds of feet, so bright it blocked out the stars nearby. The strangeness quickly started a lot of debate. Some people say it was just a rare meteor bent by different layers of air. But the reports show the zigzag kept happening again and again, not one smooth curve like something being pushed by wind resistance. A few accounts also mention a light shaking in the ground, not strong enough to call an earthquake, but enough to make you wonder what kind of power was behind it. Joel 2:30 gets brought up as a straight warning. I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. Fire appearing wild and powerful, full of threat. That picture fits this event perfectly. Mark 13:24 goes on. But in those days, after that tribulation, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. In this case, fire from the sky isn't beautiful nature anymore. It's a sign of big, serious change. Looking at it as a warning, this zigzagging fireball in Kenya isn't just a strange sky event. It feels more like a sign sent on purpose, a reminder that the usual rules are being shaken. If fire can change direction and choose its own path, the question still hanging is, what is it searching for? And is the next place it stops closer than we think? 10. The sun was flickering strangely at Imperial Beach, California. Down at Imperial Beach, a lot of folks just froze, not sure what was going on. In that moment, you could really feel the doubt creeping in when the one thing we all count on every day suddenly started acting like some kind of warning light. The sun wasn't exploding or turning crazy colors. It was just pulsing, steady on and off, flashes of light and dark, like a huge machine having some kind of hiccup. The whole thing lasted long enough for people to get good video, clear enough that you couldn't brush it off as a quick trick of the eye. You can hear people whispering in Spanish in those clips, a mix of, "This can't be real," and quiet fear, because everyone knew it wasn't the camera messing up or some filter on the lens. Pretty soon, similar stories started popping up from other places around the world. In a little town in Belgium, some cyclists said they saw the skylight doing the same weird pulsing halo thing, not following its normal rhythm. The one thing all these reports had in common? No big weather event, no thick clouds, no solar storm, nothing normal in the atmosphere that could explain why the sun was acting up like that. For now, science doesn't really have a solid answer, and that silence feels kind of heavy. People started bringing up Luke 21:25 as a serious warning. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars, and on the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity. When the main light that keeps everything alive starts acting strange, that worry isn't just a nice Bible story anymore. It's something people are feeling right then and there. Then Revelation 6:12 paints an even stronger picture. The sun became black like sackcloth made of goat hair, and the whole moon became red as blood. That's not a gentle hint, it's the announcement of judgment. Matthew 24:29 puts the final piece in place, with very clear words. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. When you see this flickering sun in that light, it stops being just a star in the sky. It becomes the last big sign that the whole order of things is about to change. That little malfunction feels like a quiet but cold message. Even the things we think will last forever are still under God's authority. This isn't about trying to scare people. The point is to make us stop, really stop, and think a little deeper. If the light that guides all life can start to flicker, then the only thing we can truly hold on to is faith. Faith that goes beyond everything we can see and measure. And the next time you look up at the sun, will it just be the same old familiar star? Or will you hear that soft reminder calling the world back to a brighter, more holy light? In the middle of these hard-to-understand signs, maybe leave a simple prayer for the world, asking God for protection and guidance. Because when even the daylight hesitates, faith might be the last steady thing we have left. Here are 10 signs that have come one after another, like 10 knocks on the door of our awareness. From strange things happening in the sky to events that go beyond what science usually explains. When you put them side by side, a bigger picture starts to come into view. They're not separate anymore. They flow together as one clear wake-up call. Unusual solar eclipses, strange lights people call UFOs, and natural changes that are hard to understand, they all remind us of the old descriptions of the last days, when heaven and earth shake before a major turning point. Luke 21:11 puts it plainly. There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places, and fearful events and great signs from heaven. When we look at these 10 signs in that light, they stop being just interesting news. They become ringing bells, calling us to wake up. Even the things some call alien technology or rare phenomena can be seen as reminders that the sky has never been completely silent. Matthew 24:24 goes further and shows the serious side. For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. In times like these, the real danger isn't just the events themselves. It's how easily people brush them off. When the signs are taken lightly or quickly explained away, the chance to return to true faith quietly slips away. Revelation 3:3 gives a strong, no-nonsense reminder. Remember, therefore, what you have received and heard. Hold it fast and repent. This isn't a threat. It's a door that is still open for turning back. Between fear and that thin ray of hope, the choice is still in each person's hands, to listen or to keep turning away from what's being shown. Right now, the biggest risk might be staying numb and indifferent. Instead of scrolling past like it's just another shocking story, take a quiet moment. Think about it. Ask yourself where you stand in all of this. If you feel that gentle pull in your heart, coming back to faith isn't going backward. It's finding solid ground for the days ahead. Feel free to leave a prayer for the world in the comments, or share your honest thoughts as a way to connect with others who are waking up. Liking, sharing, or subscribing helps make sure no one misses the next sign that comes. A heartfelt thank you to everyone who stayed with me to the end. May God's peace always be with you and your family. In His loving arms. Amen.
That's unreal. Like it's carved.
Do you feel like time is speeding up somehow? When the sky suddenly changes its tune and the earth can't hold its quiet anymore? All around, strange events are piling up fast, pushing the world into chaos and planting worry about a foggy tomorrow. Those old prophecies about roaring seas, shaking skies, and panicked hearts seem to be coming true right before our eyes. From huge waves crashing the shores, weird lights ripping through the night, clouds twisting into odd shapes, rings of fire spinning, trumpet-like sounds echoing, eyes appearing up high, beams of light curling around, chilling noises, the sky turning blood red or shrinking into strange blue hues. Every sign is waking up at once. Can you really believe this is all just coincidence? Or do you sense an invisible hand pushing things along? Don't scroll past too quick, because each odd sign is like an urgent reminder straight to your conscience. Leave a simple prayer for peace. Before the story unfolds, more things nobody can predict. And now, so you don't have to wait long, we'll get started right away with 1. Unusually big waves strong enough to smash up the boats parked nearby. The Sea of Marmara wasn't its usual calm self anymore. All of a sudden, the water stood straight up like something ripped it open from underneath. Huge black waves came crashing straight into the shore with terrifying force. You didn't need anyone to tell you. Your heart just sank watching it, like nature had changed its mind and wasn't in the mood to be kind to people anymore. The sounds of wind, water, and metal banging together mixed into pure chaos that made the whole waterfront feel suffocating. Down at the Tuzla coast, a busy stretch of shoreline in Istanbul where hundreds of boats usually sit tied up just fine, everything got turned upside down in seconds. The Lodo's wind, already strong, shot up to around 60 miles an hour, howling without stopping. Waves reaching 15 feet kept rising one after another, slamming right into the seawall and the docks, tossing the little speedboats around like toys being thrown every which way. Seawater flooded over the walkways, swallowing the roads, sweeping away crates, mooring lines, and broken pieces of wood. People along the shore ran in panic, their shouts getting lost in the wind and the loud crashes of the waves. Awnings got ripped apart, boat hulls tilted wildly, and in just a few minutes, the whole area felt like it had been hit by sudden fury. That feeling of nature being out of control spread fast, leaving a quiet fear that hadn't settled yet. Right in the middle of all that, an old warning seemed to come alive again. Luke 21:25 says it plain. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. Those words weren't just sitting on a page anymore. They were happening right there, with every roaring wave out in the water. A lot of folks tried to calm themselves by saying it was just an odd storm, the kind of thing we get now from climate change. But when you look at all these strange events piling up in different places, that explanation starts feeling pretty thin. Science can explain air pressure and wind, but it doesn't say why everything's hitting at once with such strength, like something bigger is being pushed along. Revelation 16:3 talks about a sight that makes anybody stop cold. The second angel poured out his bowl on the sea, and it turned into blood like that of a dead person. And every living thing in the sea died. Things haven't gotten that far yet, but the ocean's anger today feels like the first signal that the usual order is getting shaken. Those waves in Tuzla didn't just cause physical damage, they left people with a deep sense of being warned. The sea is speaking up, and the message doesn't feel random. But that's only the beginning, because even before the water had a chance to calm down, the night sky was getting ready to light up with something unusual that still needs to be told. 2. The night sky suddenly lit up with a mysterious blue glow as a ball of light streaked across it. Just as the darkness settled in, a bright blue streak ripped through the night, so fast that all the sounds around seemed to vanish. In just a few seconds, the sky changed color. A cold light poured down, and everything felt frozen. It was like watching a video that makes your hands shake a little, because what you saw was too strange to process right away. In the middle of a busy city, where streetlights usually drown out the stars, dozens of phones shot up at once. This blue ball of light raced across the sky, leaving behind a long, glowing trail that stretched for miles, then disappeared as quickly as it came. You didn't need anyone to tell you. Your heart was pounding, because it wasn't like fireworks or anything familiar you'd seen before. The blue light didn't flicker on and off. It spread like a wave, covering rooftops, windows, and the streets below. Some videos showed the ball moving at a speed that's hard to track, suddenly changing direction and vanishing, leaving a heavy silence behind. People slowed the footage, zoomed in, and shared it non-stop, but the closer you looked, the fuzzier the details got, as if the light didn't want to be figured out. In that stunned moment, people started whispering ideas. Some called it a rare green meteor. Others thought it might be a test flight of some kind. But a few believers felt that brief flash had the feel of an angel passing overhead, quick, bright, and leaving no trace. When you put yourself in the shoes of someone watching on their screen, the question wasn't just, what was that? But why did it show up right now? Matthew 24-27 puts it in a haunting way. For as lightning that comes from the east is visible even in the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. That blue flash, gone in an instant, and nobody daring to name it, felt like the kind of sign that gets your attention, short but impossible to ignore on a quiet night sky. Skeptics were quick to say drone or some man-made light show, but the cold color and the way it spread didn't match any common gadget. Videos from different angles all showed the same thing, the same streak, like the sky was putting on a silent message. That kind of matchup made the quick explanations feel weak. Revelation 8-5 talks about the start of something bigger. Then the angel took the censer, filled it with fire from the altar, and hurled it on the earth. And there came peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake. That blue light didn't come with thunder. but it was enough to plant the feeling that a door had just cracked